Well, greetings and welcome everyone to another episode of Karl's Spirits. This is, I believe, episode 62 tonight. And we're going to be looking at Breckenridge Rum Cask Finish from Breckenridge, Colorado. And in particular, this is batch number 4. And the distillery, Breckenridge Distillery, was founded in 2007 by Brian Nolt. And they offer a very wide range of products. A lot of it dealing with bourbon. They have their bourbon whiskey, their port cask, their Madeira finish. They have a single barrel, a high proof, a reserve blend, I believe. They have a spiced whiskey. They have a spiced rum. They have a gin. They have an entire flavored vodka line. And then they have their rum cask finish as well. The rum cask, the one we're going to be tasting tonight, is a high rye bourbon. Now, we don't know exactly what the percentage of the mix is here, but that's what their literature states. It's a high rye bourbon. And the cool thing I think about this is that they are using Breckenridge's very own spiced rum casks. So their product line, their spiced rums, once those are finished, they're using those barrels to re-age this product, which I think is actually kind of a cool thing. So you're using the cast off of one product line to help finish another product. I like that idea. I'm not real sure how relevant that is to its taste. And we're gonna find out here shortly. This is a blended whiskey, and that always has a kind of a bad connotation in the bourbon world. But let's face it, most bourbons are blends. In this case, that just means the bourbon is a blend of several distillates. In particular, we're looking at bourbon from Kentucky, we're looking at bourbon from Indiana, and we're looking at bourbon from Colorado. So all three of these are then going to be blended together. We are not sure how much is from each state or what is from each state. We simply don't know. So because of all that, we don't know things. The mash bill, we don't know. This is very undisclosed. We know it's bottled at 90 proof because it says so on the bottle. It's supposed to be high rye. What that means, I don't know. You take Buffalo Trace and they say 12 to 15% is high rye. And then you look at some other bourbons and you've got 30% rye. I'm pretty sure this is on the lower end of that. I'm not saying it's 12 to 15% like Trace, but it's certainly not in the 30 percentile range at all. Because the rye taste is simply just not there. There's no age statement either because it's a blend. Now, we've got some rumors out there of what is supposed to be here. The youngest is supposed to be 4 years old, straight. And the oldest is no more than 10 years. So there you have it, whatever that means to you. The rum casks, they are going to be, the bourbon is going to rest in those rum casks for about 6 months. But again, it's never stated anywhere. That's just suggested. Again, bottled at 90 proof. There's one other thing that I want to bring up about this particular bottle that is somewhat concerning to me. And it's on this line of script right here. And it basically says this is bourbon blended, finished in rum cask barrels with natural flavors added. I don't know if you can see that right there. Natural flavors added. What is that? What are these natural flavors they're adding to bourbon? It doesn't say. And there's no rumor out there. There's no myth. There's no legend. We don't know what those natural flavors are. And that's something I want to come back to here in just a little bit. On to the actual tasting though. So in my handy dandy glass, it looks really dark on the screen as I see it, but this is actually a very, very light amber. Maybe more on the orange side than amber, but it's very light. It's very, very, very see-through, to be quite honest. Okay, I have almost no fragrance of rum here on this at all. On my first nose, there's really no rum fragrance. There's sweetness, but it's not a sweetness that I normally associate with a rum. Not even a spiced rum. Quite honestly, I get sweetness. That's about as exact as I can give you tonight. Okay, mouthfeel is very thin. I think that kind of goes along with that color. It has some very, very thin legs as well, but it's a very thin mouthfeel. It's also very, it's sweet. It's sweet, but it's not a definable sweetness for me. It's a sweet sugar. It's almost like like you put sugar in your iced tea. It's that type of sweetness. That sweetness really lingers though, and it fades to a nuttiness flavor. These tastes are really kind of bland, but they are there and they really linger with the glass. Now, I do like the finish better. The finish has a little bit of burn to it. It's what I would call maybe a medium heat on that finish, but it is a very smooth drink. In fact, the first third of your tongue, of your palate, there's no heat at all. It's all sweetness. So you go from a sweetness to a gradual burn as it comes back. I kind of like that. I do enjoy that finish. But the flavors are very lacking. And I think that's my big takeaway here. This is smooth. It's a very smooth product. I enjoy that sweetness fading to the burn. In fact, I'm still having a little bit of that right now as I speak. But they're not intense, those flavors. They're really, truly not. And they're not typically flavors. What I am tasting, just, sugar, is not what I normally look for in a bourbon. I want the traditional flavors. I like that. You may not, I do. I really struggle to find any hint of rum whatsoever in this taste. I've had several different rums. None of that is present in that glass. I'm just not picking that up. I think I've stated previously, I am not a huge fan of barrel or cask finished bourbons. This is a growing trend in whiskey, though, and I think we're going to see more and more of these types of products hit the shelves as these distillers try to find their niche on our shelves. They really want to get into that. I always feel right or wrong, and people don't like me saying this, but I also feel it's a way for distillers to get rid of subpar bourbon or product that they just can't bottle legitimately as a bourbon. They add, a cask finish to that and it classes it up or whatever. It's kind of like, we all know of, some bourbons add huge amounts of cinnamon and it's all of a sudden hot or fire or something. We also know the honey trick as well. That's a very popular one too. But it really concerns me, and what really puts me off about this bottle is the lack of transparency that comes out of Breckenridge Distillery. There's no real data on the age. There's nothing on how long it was aged in the rum cask. There's no mash bills, which I understand you're blending different bourbons. They're all going to differ, but give us something, okay? There's no who produced what. Tell us it came from, MGP if it came out of Indiana. Tell us that, okay? Tell us what distillery it came from in Kentucky. But it's just very disappointing that there's no distillery. And of course, then there's those natural flavors added. That little line right down there that I showed you just a while ago, okay? Thanks for telling us that. But what flavors did you add? And why did you have to add them? It seems to me if you have a good bourbon to begin with, well, why are you adding additional flavors? So that really kind of concerns me about this product. And because of that transparency or lack of, and those natural flavors, and just the lack of anything that really stands out, I'm going to give the Breckenridge Rum Cask finish 2.25 Karl stars. I like it. It's smooth. It's very drinkable, but it's not something I would want to spend money on. I'm just frustrated by the lack of information, by the lack of transparency. I'm frustrated by the depth of the product. For, a $40 plus bottle, we should have a little bit more flavor in that profile. Now, my disclaimer here at the end is I always say, that's my take. Yours may be different. You may love that product, and if so, more power to you. I love that. That's the beauty of the bourbon world, is that we all have very different ideas of what is and what is not good to us. So, having said that, ladies and gentlemen, that's my take. And as always, I want you to stay safe, peace, and happy pours.